What's up, everybody? Jimmy Faluca reporting with Frank, this time on the phone. Frank, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
I'm a little pissed off. My Islanders lost tonight. Congratulations to the Washington Capitals and go Rangers. I'm not the typical, New York hockey fan where I love the Islanders and I hate the Rangers, or vice versa. I have no problem with the New York Rangers. I hope they win. Good for you guys. I hope you kicked the shit out of the Capitals. The Islanders played pretty shitty. They were not the better team. They barely shot. They were getting outshot by a mile. And even if they did make it past the Capitals, they would have got their asses kicked by the Rangers with the way they were shooting. I know hockey's not your thing. I just wanted to get that out of the way. But guys, I gotta go off on something. And this is directly for the page. If there's one thing that I am sick and fucking tired of, is this. I basically turned around and I said, I hope that eventually Daniel Bryan lets his contract with WWE just run out and he just goes to Mexico, goes to Japan, someplace where his talents won't be wasted, number one. Number two, where he will be over and he'll be compensated for it rather than punished. And that he could be in a place where, he can be at his best. Because ever since he came back in January, Frank, I can't help but feel this guy's been getting fucked in the ass. Full force. I don't care what anyone says about his injury, this, that, or the other thing. When he came back at the Rumble, he was fine. Daniel Bryan hasn't been hurt since Sheamus fucked him up on this Friday night. No, not Friday. The SmackDown. I keep thinking of Friday, but it went back to Thursday. Since the SmackDown after WrestleMania, where Sheamus really fucked him up. And that's not a knock on Bryan being frail or anything like that. It's Sheamus being a sloppy worker. I can say that because Sheamus has hurt multiple people in the same fashion.
I think it was actually the Raw when Sheamus came back.
No, the bro kick is not what hurt him. It was on SmackDown. Bryan had to get several stitches in his head. It was actually my sister. My sister actually is the one that pointed it out to me. I didn't even know about it. And, but, some people turn around and saying, oh, they didn't put him in the match with Brock because they were worried about his health. So you put him in a ladder match. Okay, yeah, that's real good for his health, number one. Number two, he hasn't been on Raw in, 4 weeks? Going now? Why is he not conducting any interviews? Why is he not cutting promos? Why is he not talking via satellite in his home? Why is it that when fucking Roman Reigns was injured, you saw more of him than when he was on the show? Because you got constant updates. This fucking guy gets hurt, and they ain't nothing. I'm sick of this. I am sick to death and I don't care what anyone says. The greatest fucking wrestler the WWE has, not just because he's my favorite. No. He's the most over guy in the company. He's the most talented wrestler they have, aside from Adrian Neville, because I will admit Adrian Neville is an amazing fucking worker. Pound for pound, probably one of the best, if not the best, in-ring talent they have. And Seth Rollins is in that class as well. I cannot say he isn't. And this guy is just, he's being completely disregarded. And it's like he doesn't fucking matter. And I'm sick of this. I want him, I hope that he just, what would be perfect for me is if he just gets in Vince's face backstage and just says, fuck you, you old man, you're an idiot, you had something back in the day and you don't have it anymore, and no one back here has the balls to tell you that. I want this guy to get fucking out of WWE and go someplace where he'll be treated with respect, number one. Not having his flaws pointed out time and time again. Not having people call him a troll. Not having someone call him a midget or a turd. Or any such nonsense. Because you didn't have anyone fucking come out yes, I'm going to make the comparison. You didn't have anyone come out and have call Steve Austin a bald-headed, whitey, blue-eyed, honky motherfucker. You didn't have that. You didn't have that. You didn't have someone come out and say, oh, The Undertaker looks like a poor excuse for a motorcyclist. No. You didn't have someone come out and say, oh, Triple H looks like a big-beaked, long-haired, slimy, gooey motherfucker. You didn't have that. God knows you don't hear any of the announcers cracking jokes about John Cena's stupid friggin' attire that he's been wearing for the last fucking 10 years. He looks like a clown in fucking jean shorts and tennis shoes. You don't even hear them cracking jokes about The Miz, who's the biggest fucking embarrassment of a champion I've ever seen in the history of wrestling. How that fucking guy has a job is beyond me. But this guy, the most over guy they've had since Austin and The Rock, they don't care. And it drives me fucking batty. Because for how many years did we as fans hope and pray, some of us anyway, because I know I did, that we'd get somebody who could equal those men or come close to those men in terms of being over and connecting with the audience. You get somebody, and what do? You squander him. Why? Because you didn't make him? Because he wasn't in the plan? Let me give you guys a little bit of fucking history, because some of you on the page, and I'm calling you out, Durst. I'm calling you out, so that way you don't have to fucking wonder. I'm calling you out, Mike, so you could hear it. If the fans just bent over and took it in the ass, like you guys expect them to, back in the day, you don't get the NWO, you don't get The Rock, and you don't get Stone Cold Steve Austin. The three biggest things wrestling's ever had. No one sold more t-shirts than Stone Cold and the NWO. And no one's become a bigger mainstream star from wrestling than The Rock. And all of those things came from the fans telling the business what they wanted, and they got it. Why? Now because there's no competition, you could tell the fans, fuck you, you're usually going to watch anyway, so we'll do whatever the fuck we want. I'm sick of it.
Well, let's talk about the injury. First of all, it's not like Daniel Bryan has always gotten concussions throughout his career.
That's another thing. People saying, oh, he's injury prone. Really? In 15 years, he suffered one fucking injury. John Cena gets injured every fucking year. Every fucking year.
Everybody could get a concussion. That's not, and that people aren't prone to concussions. It's not like he gets concussions every 6 months. And
no.
Some athletes, in like hockey or football, they get
it's physical fucking theater.
Right. But some athletes still are prone to concussions. They get concussions,
consistently.
But this guy's outside of last year. He's never been injured.
No, he hasn't. And that's why I read this thing in the Bleach Report where it says that as of now, Daniel Bryan has no credibility as a champion because of his injuries. Really? Let's see. Torn pectoral muscle, broken neck, busted up knees, multiple neck injuries after the broken neck. That's more than 4. And the giant bowl of fluid on his fucking elbow. That sounds like 5 injuries, but yet John Cena is always in a prominent spot. But this guy, no, we can't use him because he's injury prone. Randy Orton's made out of fucking glass. The guy gets injured almost every year. But yet he's always in a prominent spot. Fucking 11-time world champion, and he's still in the title picture. Someone explain that to me.
The thing with Daniel Bryan is it's just a bad timing. Last year, as soon as he won the belt, he had to stop because he was hurt. this year again. After he won the Intercontinental belt at WrestleMania, he got hurt.
Should have even been in the Intercontinental title match. I don't care if it comes off as selfish. He should have been in the fucking match with Brock while Roman Reigns was taking out John Cena. And you know what's funny, Frank? If you do that, Bryan's in the title match with Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns is fighting John Cena and whipping his ass, you accomplish two things. Not only are you giving the audience what they want, but you're getting the guy you want over in the process. Now, let me ask you, and you be honest with me. Don't just say yes to shut me up, because I want you to be 100% brutally honest with me. If Roman Reigns, instead of being force-fed down the fans' throat and going over Daniel Bryan and going over all the crowd favorites, fucking Ryback, Ziggler, and Ambrose, yes, Durst, Ziggler's over, whether you like it or not. And yes, The Miz is irrelevant, whether you like it or not. And yes, John Cena's stale, even though you refuse to admit it. If Roman Reigns was fighting John Cena at WrestleMania, wouldn't the crowd have been on his side?
Of course.
And wouldn't he be a much more over talent than what he is?
Of course, but you can't have. They won't allow that at this point, because then that will be the nail in John Cena's coffin.
But isn't it time for that? Hasn't he had?
Maybe not.
Hasn't he had 10 years on top? Doesn't his audience have 10 years worth of pay-per-views and 10 years worth of Raw and SmackDown footage to look back on? I love The Undertaker. I don't get him every week. I'm lucky I get him once a year. And when I have an itch to watch his old stuff, I'll turn on the network and I'll watch WrestleMania 13 when he won the title in Chicago. Or even better, I'll watch the Royal Rumble when Providence, Rhode Island, when it took 10 men to put him in the casket and he rose from the grave. The fans of John Cena have had 10 years. 10 fucking years.
WWE is going to milk John Cena for all he's worth.
I think he's worth... Honestly, Frank, maybe I sound like a prick. I don't think he's worth shit. And the reason I can say that...
I'm glad he's not in the main event picture right now.
He shouldn't be in any picture right now. That guy should be fucking retired. Because I got news for you. I'm going to use my favorite YouTubeist, Bruce, the guy you like. I'm going to use something that he says. And ain't no one got the balls to follow this. Especially on the page, or any other page, or even the other two bullshit pages that I took myself off of. When you're a hero, and the fans are singing that you suck, that's failure. Tell me what else it is. Oh, no, Frank, it's the internet crowd. Only the internet crowd. They hate all the good guys, but yet they'll cheer Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, Dean Ambrose, Damian Sandow. Wait a minute, these are all good guys, but I thought that the internet fans only cheered the heels. Oh, God, I'd just gone cross-eyed.
They're gonna, I told you, they're going to just keep milking him and milking him and milking him and milking him. And I got news for you. The second he loses that U.S. belt, whenever the time comes, he's jumping right back to the title picture.
Oh, God.
But get back to Daniel Bryan. While he's off TV and you don't hear from him, I mean, you could subscribe to the conspiracy theory that they're trying to kill his push and his popularity.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, Frank. I think it's a fact. Because when Roman Reigns was hurt,
they're saying we'll keep him off, and then when he does come back, he'll come back to each pop. I don't know.
It's bullshit. Because when Roman Reigns was hurt with a hernia injury, you couldn't shut him up. This fucking guy, who, I don't care what any of you Roman Reigns nuthuggers say, isn't even half as over as Daniel Bryan. Oh, wait a minute, but Frank, when Roman Reigns comes out, it's like Beatlemania.
Yeah, well, have they given any updates on Daniel Bryan?
Zero. They just talk. They just say that.
Last night was saying the match was canceled due to his.
Yeah, that's it. They give nothing else. He doesn't. It's like I'm gonna start calling him not the beard. He's the mute. You don't hear a fucking peep out of him. And Frank, I'm gonna finish the Daniel Bryan segment of this show with this. And this is generally how I feel in my heart as a fan of the business. The WWE does not want its fans to have the power that they had in '97. The power that they had in the Attitude Era. The power they had in the Ruthless Aggression Era. And I'll explain to you what that power is. And you tell me if I'm wrong. Vince McMahon wanted Rocky Maivia. You remember Rocky Maivia?
Yes.
He wanted Rocky Maivia to be the number one good guy in his company. And at the same time, Vince McMahon wanted a guy by the name, I don't know, you may have heard of him, a guy by the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin. You heard of him, right?
Yes.
He wanted Stone Cold to be the ultimate villain. Did either of those two things happen?
No, they're in reverse.
Yeah, the reverse happened. Want to know why? Okay, I'm going to get nice and close to this camera because that's what the fucking fans wanted. You imbeciles, you apologists, get Vince's balls out of your mouth. It's just, it's nauseating. They run to this company's rescue, Frank, like they pay their fucking bills.
Could you imagine when the fans would chant, "Die, Rocky, die"?
Yeah,
Rocky,
I remember.
Them coming out and saying, "Oh, it's because of the internet."
And then, you know what's funny? The internet wrestling community bullshit label would have fit more in 1995 than it does now. Because
1996.
Because back in 1996, 1997, barely anyone was on the internet. But today, this is my grandfather's watch, by the way. Last I checked, we're in 2015. Everyone and their mother, or in my case, everyone and their grandparents are on the fucking internet. So there is no rest. Frank, you and I are in the internet wrestling community with everyone else that watches the product. Because
anybody who talks about wrestling
where we talk about wrestling, Frank, we talk about it online, we talk about it at work, we talk about it on the phone, we talk about it through emails. What is there, an internet wrestling, is there an email wrestling community? Or is there a workman's wrestling community? Are you guys that fucking dumb? It's amazing. What bothers me is that these people actually live amongst us. They actually live amongst us. They vote. They vote for people in high office. That shit frightens me. Because,
like I've always said, it's a reflection on our society.
It is a reflection on our society, because if you say anything bad about the U.S. government, that automatically means that you're a terrorist. Perish the thought that you actually think for yourself and don't just, take what you're spoon-fed by mainstream media, who could all go fuck themselves, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't inform the public. Like George Carlin, the fucking greatest comedian of all time, said, you think they want an informed public? No, they want obedient workers who are smart enough to run the machines and just dumb enough to accept all the bullshit.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think they're going to strip Daniel Bryan of the...
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they fucking job him out to El Torito. I have zero faith in the WWE when it comes to Daniel Bryan. And the only way they can restore my faith, he better win that Royal Rumble in 2016. I'm telling you now, Frank, the fucking Shield triple threat to me no longer has any appeal. Dean Ambrose is a nothing now.
I think he's gonna...
The fucking guy, to me, last night was the first pay-per-view in a year that he's won.
Yeah, well, I think he's
what the fuck? The guy was out selling John Cena merchandise in November, and now where is he? He's losing by a disqualification to Sheamus, who looks like a fucking idiot.
Is that a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence?
I don't believe... I watch NCIS. I'm a fan of Gibbs. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I'm going to use the words of Colonel L. Fletcher Prouty. For anyone that has any sort of knowledge, they'll know who he is. I agree with what he said about life. Nothing just happens. Everything is planned. Everything is planned. And what bothers me, Frank, the most about all this, Bryan, the problems I have with Cena always being shoved down my fucking throat, the problems I have with Roman Reigns not being allowed to organically get over, because he probably could. If they pushed the correct buttons, Roman Reigns could become the fucking biggest thing they ever had. I think he has that potential in him. I'm not one of those...
Anybody besides Cena and Reigns, who are the handpicked guys, anybody that gets popular, they get pushed down.
And that is my problem. That's my problem. And what bothers me even more is that the people are submissive to it. They don't give a fuck. You got people who claim to love Bray Wyatt, but when he was getting beat by John Cena looking like a loser. They didn't write one fucking letter, not one post, not one fucking thing to support that motherfucker. And I love him.
Let's see, we've had CM Punk. He went over and was the most popular guy.
CM Punk was the biggest mainstream star WWE had in years, and they chased him off. You know why they chased him off? Because the guy...
Vince said, yeah, I know you won.
Yeah, because the guy, unlike Bray Wyatt, unlike Daniel Bryan, actually knew his worth and demanded his worth. And that's why I have more respect for CM Punk than I do for Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. Because at least CM Punk, the prick that he is, I hate CM Punk as a person. As a person, I think he's a jerk-off. But as a wrestler, he knew what he was fucking worth. And he demanded his worth. And the problem is, Frank, you have too many people in society who say, oh, I can't control anything, so I'll just not give a shit. And that's why they get away with things like that's how the government gets away with things. That's how billion-dollar companies get away with things, because the public is submissive and they don't fight. That's how Daniel Bryan got the main event of WrestleMania last year. Not because it was the plan, Constantino, you imbecile.
We had CM Punk, he got over.
He got beat by Triple H in 2 months.
Technically, he was the most over guy. Then we had Daniel Bryan. We've had Ziggler.
Don't forget Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose.
Ryback even. Ryback. Cesaro won the Battle Royal, and now he's getting beat by the Green Day.
Bray Wyatt was catching fire. He was getting real popular. Everybody had the phones out, what they call it.
And that's what bothers me about it. Bray Wyatt was...
He had the whole arena singing, he's got the
whole world in his hands. Bray Wyatt was cutting these fucking promos that I haven't heard since the days of The Undertaker, since the days of Kevin Sullivan, since the days of Brian Pillman. Bray Wyatt was cutting these promos and having... Look at the fucking matches he was having. The match with fucking Daniel Bryan at the Rumble. The Shield versus the Wyatt family match. Hell, even the Last Man Standing match I would Cena was fucking great. But where did he end up?
I'm not even the biggest Bray Wyatt fan. I'm not saying those promos are gold. You know, some of them, sometimes they go on and on and on. They sound a little gibberish. But the fact is, all these guys that I just mentioned, they've all organically gone over. They've gotten the biggest pops of the cards for months. And what happens? All of a sudden, it seems like somebody was pulling the strings. All of a sudden, they start losing matches. They get jobbed out on Raw, at pay-per-views. They start looking ridiculous. Their merch sales go down.
Because in the eyes of the casual viewer, which is who they basically care about, their stock plummets. When CM Punk got beat by Brock Lesnar, those of us who have been watching wrestling for 15, 20 years understood, okay, it's not going to kill him. Would we have preferred to see CM Punk go over? Most of us, yeah. But we understood it wasn't going to kill his career. But when you're a CM Punk fan and you're a casual fan and you see him losing to Triple H, to John Cena, to The Rock, to The Undertaker, to Brock Lesnar, when he's losing to all the big names, you're saying to yourself, this guy really ain't that fucking good.
Well, yeah, especially when he's the champ
and he's in the mid-card. I don't care what anyone says, CM Punk's title reign was in the fucking mid-card. And that was a disgrace. It was a disgrace that he was having these 5-star matches with Daniel Bryan in the middle of the card while John Cena was playing around with John Laurinaitis. That's why anyone who fucking defends John Cena, I want to strangle them. Because they have to be mentally retarded.
CM Punk had the longest reign of the modern era. How could you say they were holding him down?
I can say that they're holding him down because the last image on almost all those pay-per-views was not CM Punk. That's how I can say it. Salute to you, Phil Brooks, for having the balls to tell Vince to take his contract and shove it. I'm just.
As with John Cena, no matter what, he gets booed, Cena sucks, booed.
It's now going on 5-6 weeks in a row now, Frank. I actually think it's more. That every time he comes to the ring, they sing John Cena sucks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so sick and tired of being told it's not his fault. I don't care. I don't care. The guy should, if he cares that much about his character and cares that much about the integrity of the business, he should be marching into Vince's office just like this and saying, I'm not going out there tonight. Not going out there tonight. I refuse to show up unless things start to fucking change. Because you want to know something?
Yeah, he cares about his merchandise sales.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's a selfish, money-grubby prick.
I've never seen anybody, every time he comes out, he hawks his fucking towels and his headbands and his napkins.
And what bothers me the most about it, Frank, is that he knows how hated he is. He knows it. And as much as I don't care for The Rock, Rock was spot on. You're going to hear it for the rest of your career, and it killed you because you know you're going to hear it for life. And you want to know what the proof positive is of John Cena? Okay. I'll use the smallest scale to the biggest scale. The smallest scale, the New Day, the Green Day, the Blue Day, whatever the fuck color they are this week. They started getting booed. What did they do with them, Frank?
They turned the heel.
Okay. Now we'll go to the top. The Hulk Hogan. To many people, the greatest of all time. To many people, the guy that founded pro wrestling, in a way, mainstream-wise. I hate Hulk Hogan. But I will admit that without Hulk Hogan, WWE may not be what it was if they at least didn't get Dusty Rhodes. Because Dusty Rhodes, in the 70s, when he was the American Dream, was just as hot as Hulk, put an ass every 18 inches everywhere he went. No, not enough.
The WWF crowds were 1,000, 2,000. After Hulkamania, they moved into the arenas.
Yes, they did. As much as I may not care for Hulk Hogan, I recognize what he did for the business. If I ever met him, I would stick my hand out and shake his hand and say, thank you for what you did. Because of you, Hulk, the business is what it is. And it's a lot bigger than what it was before he got there. But you also have to remember that Hulk was hot before he got to WWE. Because he was jacking up AWA beforehand.
But yeah, the magic of him coming to WWE, it all came together. But that's why he's always going to be the Babe Ruth of wrestling.
He'll always be the Babe Ruth of wrestling, which is fine. I have no problem with that. However, when I can't believe I'm saying this. The fans eventually grew tired of seeing the shirt get torn off. They got tired of the cup in the ear. They got tired of the boot and the leg drop. What did Hogan do?
He turned heel. He switched it up.
Now, I want someone with a set of balls to explain to me why John Cena is immune from that. Why is he better than Hulk Hogan?
He's not.
Go fuck yourself, John. Go fuck yourself, Vince. You're fucking idiots. How much money did Hulk Hogan make WCW by turning heel and having that program with Sting for a year and a half? How much money did they make, Frank?
They overtook WWE.
And that's why I laugh. Because people think I'm crazy. I'm just quoting...
When they say, Sting, he finally debuted in the major leagues.
Oh, please. When Stephanie made that statement before WrestleMania, oh, Sting, yeah, you know what it's like to make it to the big times, that fucking fake-breasted twat that she is.
1997,
I hate to break it to Stephanie McMahon and her fake breasts, but Sting was in the big time in 1997 and came this close to putting you and Daddy Big Bucks out of business. Because I got news for you.
That was the hottest angle.
Frank, aside from...
Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan versus Sting, and Sting didn't even say a word for the whole year. All he had to do was appear in the balcony in the rafters. Sting didn't
have to utter a fucking word to draw ratings for WCW. Now, Frank, I know I'm restating this, but who was the hottest star in WCW when they came close to putting WWE 6 feet under?
Hollywood Hogan.
But who was the hero? Who was the hero?
Sting.
Thank you. So Sting didn't make it to the big time this year. He made it to the big time years ago when he did something that John Cena has proven to me now. It is 2015. I have been patient since 2006. I've hoped for change for John Cena, and I've given him the benefit of the doubt about 1,000 times over. John Cena has proven to me he is not the greatest of all time. Stone Cold Steve Austin is. He's not the greatest of all time because he is incapable, inept, unable, unwilling to change with the times, to take that hatred that so many of us, and there are more of us that hate him than those of you that love him, to take that hatred, take it in his hands, and do something with it. Because I know...
For those people that believe that, if it's Vince McMahon and WWE that don't want to change him or change the character, that's bull. If Cena said tomorrow went in and said, I want to change, they would do it.
Frank, thank you. Because whenever I say things, everyone says I'm fucking crazy. I need other people to say these things.
They don't say no to him. Whatever he says, they do. He pretty much is the only one today that has creative control over his character. He's probably the only one that has creative control over his character.
And Randy Orton probably. Well, pretty soon Roman Reigns will too, because everyone in the Breakfast Club has creative control. What annoys me the most is how submissive people are. What annoys me the most is how submissive they are. They're just, like Bruce said, they're willing to bend over, grab their ankles, and just take it. And I'm sitting here like, you could get better if you just demand it. If you keep demanding, you'll eventually get it. But nobody wants to do the legwork, Frank. What?
Before and after now, it's again Raw and WWE is pretty hard to watch. Last night I saw before the last match came on. That's another thing. The network sucks. It kept freezing every 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds it kept freezing. I have strong internet, great laptop. It kept freezing over and over and over again.
Frank, I know exactly how you feel. But listen, Frank, we're going over...
I'm watching it on those fucking black sites.
Frank, listen, save that vigor for the next segment because we're about to go over our limit. I went a little too long, but Frank and I'll be back with our next segment in about 2 seconds. We'll be right back, guys.